Kyrie just has to go to the Lakers at this point. He has to go. He has to go for the mid-level exception. That'd be taking a $30 million pay cut, Perloff, because it's the only way to save face in this whole thing. He looks so bad right now, and I'm never against players trying to get as much money as they want, but I understand where the Nets are coming from, that you can't give a max extension to somebody who's been this unreliable, whether it's for injuries or injuries plus, like it has been with Kyrie Irving. I get where they're coming from. I can't fault the organization. So for Kyrie, who Woj is reporting basically has no suitors except for the Lakers, now you've got to go to the Lakers. LeBron's the only one who can get you out of this mess because he is the least popular NBA player right now for this type of shenanigans. And going to the Lakers is the only cover that will help him save his reputation because it's in tatters right now.
Well, that makes perfect sense. You're saying a guy who's not happy with the money he's getting in Brooklyn, a team that he chose, is going to be happy taking $30 million less. That's totally doesn't make sense. He wants money.
No, he's the only person where weirdly does make sense. He's the only guy who might leave $30 million on the table. He already left $17 million on the table when he didn't want to get the vaccine. He's made $200 million in his career. And you know what? I'm going to say that. He's earned $200 million. However, he is very unreliable in this latter stage of his career. So it'd be totally insane for the Nets to meet him at that max number. Now he's got to go to LA. LeBron is there. LeBron will take all the slings and arrows and the shrapnel. They'll be a hated villain team and loved by the Lakers and hated by everyone else. And it's going to be great for the NBA. But that is where I think this is going.
But my basic point is if Kyrie is upset with Brooklyn because of the contract situation, because Brooklyn came out and said we don't want to give him the max, that's what started all this.
Right.
So it was about money. Or is that money more about pride? So for him to take less money makes no sense.
I think it's a pride thing. You'll remember after they got swept by the Boston Celtics just a couple months.
I remember very well.
2 months ago. When was that? 2 months ago. 6 weeks ago. Whatever. He said, first of all, he reaffirmed his commitment to the Nets. We know that means absolutely nothing. But he said, me and Kevin are going to help run this organization with Sean Marks, the general manager, and Joe Tsai, the owner. And maybe a few days later, Sean Marks came out, the GM, and said, we only want people who are going to be here full-time commitment. Now, you'll remember they said that last time when they had him stay away from the team totally because he wouldn't get the vaccine. But I think they've drawn a line in the sand here, and I think they were reasonable to do it. Now, could there be a bad ripple effect and domino effect of Kyrie leaving, of Kevin Durant wanting a trade also? Sure, but, for Kyrie, if the team is giving him the option to seek out a trade, which he's doing, and if the Daily News reported that, and if the Lakers are the one team that's interested, which ESPN reported, either make it go with a sign and trade, which I don't know what the Lakers are giving back.
Well, reportedly, the Nets do not like the Lakers package, which makes total sense. The Lakers have nothing to offer.
So Kyrie will opt out and sign for the mid-level exception. I mean, he's backed into a corner. And you know what? So are the Lakers. The Lakers need warm bodies right now. They would welcome him with open arms.
Well, okay. The Lakers, of course, have to sign him for the mid-level. Mid-level.
That's all they have.
76ers just traded for DeAnthony Melton to pay him the mid-level. Of course you would take Kyrie. So let's not worry about the Lakers side.
Right.
Kyrie, you're saying, has pinned himself in. What's to stop Kyrie from changing his tune in 3 days like he has 100 million times? We'll know by Wednesday if he opts in. I bet he opts in for $36 million.
Okay, the one thing, though, is so the team has granted him permission to find trades.
Right.
Once he opts in, though, he gets rid of, he'd opt in and most likely get a trade if he can find one.
Sure.
But you also give up whatever leverage you had left because once you opt in, you're now on the Nets for the next, or the Nets determine your future of where you're going to go. They could just say, we're not going to trade you anywhere. If they don't like the trade in return, they could say, we're just going to have you here. Play, don't play.
So Kyrie,
do whatever you're going to do.
But at least he has an out. He can be signed in for $36 million and have an out where, well, I expected them to trade me. So from a sort of saving face aspect, that can work for Kyrie. I just don't think he can risk doing the mid-level exception. I think he wants $36 million. Kyrie seems like a guy who wants the max and he wants it now. I don't see him doing 1 year mid-level and then getting paid. It's not in his nature at all.
But who's giving him the max? Even the Lakers, the Nets, all the teams he wanted to go to who don't have any cap space. Or you want to go to the Knicks? Fine. They'll welcome you. The Knicks right now are embroiled in maybe some kind of stare down with the Mavericks over Jalen Brunson.
Right.
No offense to Jalen Brunson. I'd rather have part-time Kyrie.
Right, but you have to pay 25 or you don't, not quite more. The max for Jalen Brunson. I think that the NBA makes incredibly stupid max contracts all the time. Look, James Harden's about to opt in for $47 million. John Wall is in the news because he's at the end of his crazy $40-something million a year deal. NBA does this all the time. You really think no one's going to offer Kyrie big money?
Not any of the places that he wants to go, or not any of the places that have packages that the Nets would want in return. I see this as getting acrimonious, and maybe I'm a pawn and maybe I'm being played, but I think that the Kyrie thing, like, if it's going to be about the money, that's one part. Then this is all just like some public posturing and we're all taking the bait. But if it actually is about, like, first of all, if it's about like fit and where your legacy is going to be, like, why call LeBron? Why try to do this stuff with the Lakers? Because the Nets will be like, okay, I go. And also, you're going to tick off Kevin Durant in the process. If all of a sudden you and Durant are supposed to be like super tight, now all of a sudden you've been winking at LeBron and at the Lakers, like, Durant's gonna have to feel some way about that, right?
Absolutely. That's why the Nets probably want him to opt in to have some control of the situation. They don't want Kevin Durant to really argue to get out. They also don't want to lose all their leverage if they want to trade Durant. Say Kyrie does go to LA on the mid-level exception. Then Durant's going to say, I want out.
Yeah, and but he's under contract.
Right.
Durant's the next 4 years under contract.
Right, but if he publicly argues to get out, then you say it all the time. In today's NBA, if a star wants out, he's going to get out.
Yep.
So the Nets, I think, want to have at least save face and say, we're going to pay Kyrie this $36 million just to keep KD. I don't think they care what Kyrie does. KD's a huge factor here. And if they lose KD, at least they need to have something that they can restart a franchise with.
No doubt.
So they need to maintain some leverage. I don't think I just don't think he's going to walk. I don't think that Kyrie, the way he's so inconsistent with his tweets, that's all I know him really by nowadays. Yeah. I think that he's going to change his mind and say, I'm going to opt in and see what happens and try and get out of town. I don't think he's going to risk just getting the mid-level exception.
Okay, so all of that could be true. I could think he should go to the Lakers to save face. You could think that he should stay in Brooklyn to save face. All of that could be true. After all of this, say Kyrie does opt in for the 1 year, and then we're not sure what's going to happen after that. Why wouldn't KD say, you know what, I'm actually out? After all of this over the last couple weeks where he's been trying, you get different reports. You get reports that say he's been lobbying on behalf of his friend to try to get a max. You also get reports that KD has not spoken to the Nets front office in weeks. I find that pretty hard to believe, but it's being reported by very reputable people.
But I also don't understand, why would Kevin Durant be speaking to the Nets front office? Well, I don't understand. In June, KD's supposed to be talking to the GM about what?
Well, so here's the thing, right? Sean Marks has always said this, that he keeps KD and Kyrie, but especially KD, in the loop with things that are going on in the organization. And I know this because I personally asked him this when we were doing an interview on WFAN. And I said, how do you balance keeping your superstars in the loop on things, but sometimes they'll offer advice and you're not going to take it. And you could risk alienating them or ticking them off because they're saying, hey, sign this guy, but you can't do it or you don't want to do it.
So you're saying that they should have consulted KD before this Kyrie Irving
I'm saying
decision.
They have consulted KD on everything. So why would this be different where you have the second most important person in the franchise is out here publicly in this tete-a-tete back and forth with the team and KD's like, I'm just staying out of it? BS. I can't believe that. It doesn't pass the smell test.
There's also a report that came from ESPN that KD's secretly sick of this Kyrie drama.
I could see that too.
So if I'm the Nets...
So even if Kyrie opts in, KD might be like, you know what, peace out on all this. Like, I didn't even want to go here in the first place anyway. I came because of Kyrie.
Let me ask you, which is a better option for the Nets? That Kyrie leaves, KD stays, you build around KD, or that they both leave and you start over?
It's impossible for me to make a case that you're better off if Kevin Durant leaves.
Right.
That's hard for me to do. It's hard for me to make a case you're better off if Kyrie leaves, quite frankly, but he's got so many other things, that go along with him. I think that I could not make that case, even though you'd get a ransom back for KD. You'd get picks, and you get players, tons of stuff. It'd be very hard to make that case. What about you?
I think get rid of Kyrie is the number one priority, and I think this applies to Lakers. Kyrie is trouble. I love Kyrie's game. It's beautiful to watch.
It's great.
But something's going to go wrong.
I just wish I could watch more of it.
Now, the Lakers are so dependent on Anthony Davis being healthy, so you have to have that to start with. Adding Kyrie to Westbrook, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, I heard someone today say that that's an instant contender. Maybe so. Can't you see that going sideways? In fact, if there's Vegas odds on it going sideways, I'd say it's 70-30 that it goes sideways. And if you're a coach or a front office person, do you really want to add all those combustibles?
Okay.
Well, really, do you want to have Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving on the same roster? It feels like such a headache. You might have to take that risk, but I wouldn't do it.
Okay, so here's why I think Rob Pelinka, the general manager of the Lakers, and everyone who's making decisions at the Lakers, how many people is this? It's like a boardroom full of people. It's like standing room only.
Aren't you giving some input?
They call me. It's small, though. I'm like a 30,000-foot view person. They just call me in for the big picture stuff. So you're realizing just how badly you messed this up with Russell Westbrook, right? It was the bad signing.
Sure.
You screwed up, and you traded away some nice depth pieces for a superstar who's no longer a superstar. You have to do everything you can to try to perfume over whatever stink is here in LA. You've got no options. All of a sudden, Kyrie Irving presents itself like it's a mirage, like in the middle of the desert. You're thirsty for water, and here comes this like all NBA sort of, like inconsistent yet amazing players. Like, is that Kyrie Irving over that sand dune? Here he is, and he's going to help the team. You don't have any other options.
You sound like a desperate gambler making a last-second bet.
And that doesn't sound like the Lakers?
I don't know if they're that desperate, but yeah, it actually does sound like the Lakers. But it's not like Kyrie is going to come in and save the day. Kyrie's another big risk, much like Russell Westbrook. The other thing, Kyrie's a flawed player. It's not like Kyrie plays much defense.
No.
It's not like he's
offensively, he's great.
Is he,
Spreads the floor. He can shoot. He is. He's great. He's a great finisher.
He's got the ball in his hands too much. He is not a Golden State Warriors type of player.
No, but he can play off the ball too.
He can sort of play off the ball. We watched KD and Kyrie and a little bit of Harden. Their basic offense was one of those two guys who can do a one-on-one move. The coach tried to put in plays, and they had no interest. And of course they got swept in the playoffs. That does not win. I don't know that... I look around the NBA and I look at the champions. They have Kyrie 6'1" scoring machines. That never wins in the NBA. You need 6'6" wings who could play defense and hit a three-pointer.
Okay, but it did work once, and we can all harken back to the halcyon days of 2016. Yeah, and LeBron's LeBron, and that was a magical run for them. I was going to take away from that.
I can't do that. I cannot hear about 2016.
It's been a while, but sometimes it feels just like the blink of an eye, Perloff.
That was a different Kyrie. That was a different LeBron. It was a different NBA, and I get into this argument a lot. Steph Curry was hurt. He had missed an entire series at playoffs. The Warriors were banged up. Then everyone says, oh, well, Kyrie got hurt the year that they won.
He broke his kneecap.
Yes, in a game that the Warriors actually won. Then the Cavs won the next two games without him, and then the Warriors stormed back. I don't know. I never thought that Cavs team was as good as the Warriors, where a lot of people revisionist history, LeBronists, say that the Cavs really were the better team.
Yeah.
The Cavs are really the better team. But anyway, that was 2016. Can't you admit that this Kyrie thing is not the same?
See, this is where we are, though. You have deeply flawed situations. You have a deadline that's looming, and you have teams that are just trying to do their best to make it work. Like you're trying to spin plates here, keep your superstars happy, not overpay them, for contracts they might not be able to live up to, and still field a winning team, not get fleeced. There's just so much going on right now that you're going to end up making maybe a mistake, but you're going to be doing out of a desperation, which if you like negotiators, like business school, you never want to be negotiating from a point where you're desperate. But that's what's going on with two teams.
Kind of like the last 30 years of the Knicks.
Yeah. Basically.
And of course, they're in the mix. It feels very Knicksian, this entire drama. And the Lakers are starting to feel a little Knicks-like.
Well, it's funny because you talk about the other teams beyond the Lakers. So the Knicks apparently feel like they're just being used as part of a public negotiation.
It feels like they want Jalen Brunson anyway.
Yeah, and like rushing to pay Jalen Brunson the max.
Not quite the max. Not quite the max.
No, not the super max. The max for his situation, which is restricted free agent with where he's at.
Oh, is that what I thought they wanted to pay him a little bit under that. But I don't even know. I heard $25 million a year, which is nowhere near the max.
Well, yeah, but there's different maxes for different guys, depending on how long you're with the team, who is your bird rights, I think, how many All-NBA teams you've made. Like, the money keeps going up and up.
Jalen Brunson, just to be clear, did score 16 points a game, and he's 25 years old. He's not a terrible player by any means.
No, and I didn't mean to disrespect him before that I'd take a part-time Kyrie over him. I'm just saying, yes, Jalen Brunson is a really nice young player.
Right.
I don't understand how we got into like a bidding war with Jalen Brunson with the Mavs and the Knicks, that they're going to clear all this cap space for Jalen Brunson.
He was so good. When Luka was out in those games, he was great.
He really was.
If Kyrie goes to the Knicks, I will guarantee. That's one. There are no guarantees in sports. There is a guarantee that would not
Yes.
work. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
That would be a long line of his short scoring point guards. I've gone over the list before. It's long and keeps growing. That will not work, Maggie. The one thing I'd add too, James Harden fits in this conversation of completely flawed assets that keep screwing over teams. Just throw him in that mix somewhere too.
Oh, we'll get to Harden. We'll get to Harden a little bit later on in the show, but want to hear from you at 855-212-4CBS. Is Kyrie Irving's only move to go to the Lakers for the mid-level exception? I think that's how he saves face here, because you know what? You can play 20 games. If you're only getting paid $6 million, people are like, we're getting a bargain. It's when you're making $35 million that, people expect you to show up. I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt. That's one thing. We all understand that. I think we even all understand load management at this point. We get it even when guys sit out to prevent injuries. But, there's extenuating circumstances for everybody. But I think it's fair to want your employees to show up when you're paying them that much money.
Absolutely. The question is, does Kyrie care about saving face? This is a guy who didn't play during the pandemic. His idea of saving face is different than any logic that you or I have or anyone has.
No, but if you being a winner again, and trying to prove that the last 3 years in Brooklyn wasn't a just massive waste of time for everybody, especially KD. Thank you for watching our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, just hit the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Just hit the bell.